Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So I'm going to give people a couple of minutes to tune in. For this video, I'm going to talk about Brett Kavanaugh. He's been nominated to be on the Supreme Court, and recently some issues have come up, and I plan to talk about those in this video. So I just want to give you all a couple of minutes to tune in. For the people that are here, if you can let me know if you hear me fine, I would appreciate it. If you can let me know whether or not I'm breaking up. If you can see my image fine, I would appreciate it. So we will get started in a couple of minutes. So just bear with me. Okay, so since we have a couple of people in here, I'm going to go ahead and get started. But for the people that are tuning in, if you can let me know right now if you hear me okay, because I don't want to go into the presentation without, knowing whether or not you all can hear me, because I don't want a situation where I put up content and it's choppy or messed up. So if you can let me know by hitting the 1, letting me know that everything is loud and clear, I would appreciate it. Okay, I see that Rita Johnson says you can hear me and see me fine. I appreciate it. All right, so let's get started. So as you all know, Brett Kavanaugh has been nominated to the U.S. Supreme Court. He's going through confirmation hearings right now. And recently it's come out that a woman by the name of Christine Ford accuses him of sexual assault. She basically says that this man tried to rape her. And the thing that makes this situation more complicated is the fact that this happened when he was a teenager. This happened 30 years ago. And the question that I have for the people that are tuning in right now is the question that's in the title. Should this incident that happened 30 years ago derail Brett Kavanaugh's nomination to the Supreme Court? Tell me what you think about that. Like, aside from the politics, aside from the fact that he's a right-wing fanatic that we don't need on the Supreme Court, aside from that, just dealing with these sexual abuse allegations, do you believe that that should be enough to derail his appointment to the U.S. Supreme Court? So I see that there are a couple of people here. If you all can just provide your statements about that, I would appreciate it, what you think, and then I'll respond to what you have to say. I just wanted to let the people know that I posted a status on my personal Facebook page, not my New Possibilities page. Well, I posted it on both, but I received a lot of comments on my personal Facebook page. A lot of my friends had a lot of different things to say about this particular question. And I just want to hear from you all right now what you think about it. That's what inspired me to go ahead and do this video, because we had a great discussion on Facebook. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my Facebook page, and I think I'm going to look at it while I do this video so I can focus on some of the comments that were made. So just bear with me a second. I'm not going to show the page because I don't want people to have the names of my friends and family that were on the Google Hangout. Well, not Google Hangout, but on Facebook, the friends that were on Facebook commenting on this issue. So I'm not going to show the actual post. I'm just going to probably read from it because there was a lot of great comments here. But first, I'm going to start off with the things that I already made note of in my, in my records, just to talk about this particular issue. So I see that Rita Johnson says, no, I don't think so. He was a kid, I think. He was a kid. So because of that, she doesn't think that, these issues should derail his appointment to the Supreme Court. And, this is what I have to say about that. One of the things that a lot of people mentioned on my Facebook page was this. They said, well, even if these allegations were 30 years ago, the way that he's dealing with these allegations, which are probably true according to people, they're saying that they think that they're probably true. The way that he is dealing with these allegations is problematic, to say the least. First of all, he's lying about the allegations, if these allegations are true. So if he's lying, that tells you a lot about his character. And do you want a judge, somebody on the Supreme Court who's dishonest, who's not trustworthy, somebody that lies? Do you want that kind of person on the bench in the Supreme Court? Do you want that kind of person making critical decisions about our lives and our human and civil rights? Do you want somebody like that in a position like that? And that also brings me to just the allegations themselves. Like, if the allegations are true, even if they happened 30 years ago, do you really want somebody that allegedly tried to rape someone making decisions that deal with women's rights? Do you want such a person making those kind of important decisions about women? For instance, their right to choose or other rights that women have in this country. Do you want this man being a deciding vote on those types of issues? Do you want somebody that's an accused criminal making these kind of decisions? Now, there's something that has to be raised here, and that's this. Like, right now, we don't know if these allegations are true or not. So at this point, we don't even know if this actually happened. We have allegations from this woman, Christine Ford. Those allegations alone shouldn't be sufficient. I mean, we need to have more than that. We need to have this woman. This woman needs to testify, at the hearings, I think. Even though there are issues about that, like she's resisting testifying because she says that there's not enough witnesses. It's only her and the judge who will be testifying when there could be other corroborating witnesses to testify. So that makes this situation problematic, because it's going to be hard for proof to be presented if she doesn't come forward. If she doesn't come forward, they're just going to move ahead with this appointment, and she's not going to have her day before this particular committee. And that's a problem. And also it undermines her credibility in the minds of some. But I will say this, like, from what I've read and heard about this particular situation, this is not her first time bringing up these allegations. From what I understand, she disclosed this information to close friends and family around the time when this incident happened. She disclosed this information well before these hearings and stuff to certain individuals. So this isn't a situation where this woman just came up with this story overnight or anything like that. So, that adds to the credibility of the allegations. But I really think that this woman should testify before that hearing, because when they hear her, when they see her testify, they can make judgments about her credibility based on her posture, based on what she says. But it's not a full evidentiary hearing. So that's one of the biggest problems with the whole thing. It's just a matter of her word against his word. And really, that doesn't meet necessarily the criminal standards of proof, if it's just that simple. But that's part of the reason why she wants to have more people come in to testify. Like, for instance, the people that she spoke to years ago or immediately after this incident happened, that would further corroborate what she's saying. So, this is important. And if these allegations are true, even if they happened 30 years ago, I think that is a basis to stop the appointment of this man. And, for obvious reasons. First of all, it proves that he is unfit to judge issues pertaining to women. Another thing is, like, somebody with such a criminal background shouldn't be in such a position of power and authority over other people, over other people's lives. So that's one thing. And then this whole thing exposes the hypocrisy of these conservatives You know, these conservatives often are harsh when it comes to sentences against juveniles. They're fierce and they're harsh. And a prime example of that would be Donald Trump. Again, as I've said many times in many of these videos, this man took out a full-page ad in a New York magazine or newspaper, basically calling for the death penalty to be imposed against Black teenage suspects who were accused in that Central Park rape case. It turns out that those men were innocent. They were later exonerated, but you still had Donald Trump put out that ad, and he never apologized for issuing that ad. So when it comes to Black people and other people, these people have no sympathy towards minors. These people want to harshly sentence minors. But because one of their own is in the crosshairs, all of a sudden they want to say that this is youthful indiscretions. You know, all of a sudden they want to be forgiving. They want to talk about how he was a teenager and this and that, and he shouldn't be judged based on that content. But these people are hypocrites, man. And, you know, I have to take the same position. I mean, it's the same position that I took in the Bill Cosby case. You know, if these allegations are true, they should have a very real impact. Now, the Bill Cosby situation is different from this situation in a couple of ways. Number one, in the Bill Cosby situation, you know, he was actually convicted. In the Bill Cosby situation, there are dozens of people who accused this man of sexual assault. You know, people have testified, they have been subjected to cross-examination. So it's a slightly, you know, or arguably completely different situation. But the fact that it happened years ago is not enough for me to say, well, it doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, many people who are victims of sexual abuse, they are often reluctant to come forward because they feel ashamed of the incident. They are afraid to share their experience with others. Often they feel like people will judge them. They often feel like they will be second guessed. And they often don't have much confidence in the criminal justice system. So those are some of the reasons why people do not come forward. So the fact that this woman didn't press charges or didn't bring a case long ago, that alone is not a reason for me to automatically discount what she has to say. It's not a reason for me to automatically assume or take the position that that should have no effect on Kavanaugh's appointment to the Supreme Court. And then just like on a most basic level, you know, I think that, you know, I just think that we need to stop Kavanaugh from being appointed to the Supreme Court, period, just based on his positions. And I think that this is convenient and it's something useful. And I think that we should prevent this man from being appointed. And this is just one of many reasons. You know, these sexual assault allegations are very seriously, and they can't be downplayed. And, you know, I would not be surprised if the Republicans move forward with this nomination anyway, even if the woman did in fact testify. We saw what happened with Clarence Thomas, where he was brought before the committee and they had hearings and this and that with Anita Hill. She testified about what she accused him of in terms of his sexual harassment, and he was still appointed to the Supreme Court. And I think that more likely than not, that will probably happen here. I hope that it doesn't happen. I hope that this nomination is derailed for all the reasons that I said in my first video on stopping Kavanaugh, and for the reasons that I'm putting forth in this video. You know, the allegations alone are very serious. If true, he obviously is not fit to serve on the U.S. Supreme Court. So I'm going to check out your statements real quick, and then I'm going to close this video out, and then I'm going to do one final video for the evening, and that's going to be on a completely different subject. That's more lighthearted, dealing with pop culture. So someone wants to know how I feel about the Munez situation. You know, that's that man who's the president of CBS who was accused of all this sexual abuse and all that kind of stuff and sexual harassment. And he's recently been forced to resign. You know, this is what I have to say about that. I mean, I think that anytime you have that many allegations against somebody, they should be forced to resign. You know, anybody with all those allegations of harassment, um, that's a very serious matter. It shows that you have a pattern and practice in that um, company that was tolerant of sexual harassment. You had Charlie Rose that engaged in similar activity. You had another person, and now you have this person. And I think that they need to, you know, they took the right action by, you know, having him resign. But the fact of the matter is, they're giving this guy a golden parachute. He's getting all kinds of perks. He's getting all kinds of money, and I don't think that that's right. You know, I definitely don't think that's right. I see somebody's talking about Tamara. I'm not going to get into that. I may do a video. I don't care nothing about what's happening with Tariq Nasheed, but I did see, you know, an article about Tamara and her husband, where she was defending her husband, saying he's not a racist and blah blah blah. I may do a video on that in the morning if I get a chance. But you know, that's just a typical situation where you have another one of these, you know, black women, Negro bed wenches. I mean, for lack of a better word, you know, defending their white daddy and all that kind of stuff. Um, so I may do a video on that or not, you know, depending on how I feel tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, it is an issue of hypocrisy, though. I think that's a great point because you have these people speaking out about the, you know, about the Me Too movement. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Chen also spoke out on that. And here she is in a situation where her husband is accused of the same type of activity as she was speaking out against, if I'm not mistaken. And yet she's defending him. But anyway, you know, I'm going to close this out. I want to thank you all for tuning in. And I'll be back up in a couple of minutes on a more lighthearted subject. So with that, I'm going to say peace and blessings to each and every one of you.